What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. I am back after the holidays. I hope you had a wonderful holiday. If you don't celebrate it, I hope you had a wonderful weekend. But today we are talking about Wheel of Time. I am going to be ranking episodes 1 through 8 in the order that I think is best. I'm not an expert in the Wheel of Time. I only found out about the Wheel of Time when the show came out. The only knowledge of Wheel of Time I have is from the show and the little tidbits that you guys have put in the comment section, which I honestly try to avoid. But yeah, without further ado, let's talk about it. If you're new here, please click on that subscribe button and the like button. Help spread the word about our community, which is a great community. Thanks to all of you fans of the Wheel of Time, fans of Ted Lasso, fans of Squid Game, and everything that I've done here on the channel so far. Before we move any further, let me hit you with another. I don't want that sounded really violent. I don't want to hit you. Let me just let you know that I'm not an expert. 99% of you, you know more than me about the show. I've only seen the TV series, so this is based on what I learned, based on what I've watched, based on what I've paid attention to, what got the best reactions out of me. If you don't agree with it, don't be mad, don't be butthurt.
I want that ball. I want it.
Instead, in the comments down below, you're gonna let me know what is your ranking episodes 1 through 8 best to worst, and worst doesn't mean that it's a 0 out of 10, because honestly all of these, in my opinion, are at least, I think the lowest rated here for me is maybe a 6 out of 10, 7 out of 10. The rest are all above 8 out of 10, 9 out of 10. So once again, calm down. Take a drink of water, take a deep breath. If your favorite episode is my least favorite, just deep breath. Coming in at number 8 will have to be episode number 6, The Flame of Tar Valon. It was very hard for me to pick my least favorite because I love all of them. I really do. So we see here episode 6. We start off with the backstory of Soo-yeon. We see her backstory, we see her growing up and her humble origins, and she was so powerful that she ends up becoming the most powerful woman in the world, basically. We see signs of the Dark One. At the time, for those that haven't read the book, you might have not known. But if you're like me and you've watched everything, then you know that that's what that was. We see the judgment of Spanish Jesus, aka the fake dragon.
Bring the false dragon.
Little bits of information that will pay off in the next few episodes. But like I said, if you didn't know, like me, you were probably maybe kind of bored, if that's even possible, watching this show, because I never got bored. But it's like, okay, this is kind of slow a little bit. And this is the one that Moraine gets the dagger, the entity out of Matt. So again, this was a really cool episode. We find out that Moraine is the top of this relationship. And we find out other little bits of information about Leandrin and the secret man that she's been keeping away. We find out that Nynaeve is one of the most powerful channelers in the last 1,000 years. If you've seen the show all the way to the end, you know that is a big deal. So again, it's not because I didn't like the episode. I liked the episode. I like every single one of them. But if I had to rank them, this comes in at number 8 for me. Number 7 is episode number 8, the finale. It was at times kind of slow. It was at times kind of beating around the bush, sort of. There were some really cool scenes, like the channeling. We saw how the world was like 3,000 years ago. We saw the original dragon. We saw a battle take place with the Aes Sedai. That at the end result of that battle to me was a little bit disappointing because I wanted to see a battle. It was kind of taking the easy way out to just have everybody just channel into the character, which I forget her name now, and she basically became a beacon and took everyone out, including herself 2 other Aes Sedais and almost killed Nynaeve. This episode had the potential to be the best. It just sort of kind of fell through a little bit. In my opinion, it wasn't, because the episode was really bad. It's probably one of my lowest rated ones compared to all of them. We get to see that the lead singer of System of a Down is the Dark One. That's kind of interesting, odd choice there. But overall, we get to see some pretty cool special effects. But for a season finale, I felt like episode 7 could have been a season finale. Episode 4 could have been a season finale. So the fact that the season finale did not feel like a season finale to me is going to rank a little bit lower than the rest, but great episode nonetheless. Coming in at number 6 for me is going to be Blood Calls Blood, episode number 5. Episode number 5, we see the aftermath of Nynaeve's awakening. I guess you could say that. We see the Children of the Light end up capturing Perrin and Egwene, which we saw that Egwene can actually channel, and we saw that Perrin can not channel, but it looks like he has this ability to call on these wolves, which in my head, if you were here in the live stream, then you will see that I've made the connection, which I don't know if this is true, but this is just a prediction, that Perrin is kind of like Fenrir, the Norse god, the wolf Norse god. So that's what I'm going with. Okay, stop judging me. This episode was very sad because we see the aftermath of the battle, right? And we see what happens to a warder when he loses his Aes Sedai. They go crazy. They no longer feel like they have to live, which we see a very sad scene at the end. We get a scene that you guys really like, which is the Liandrin mock. And, at the very end, we see the whole ceremony, which was, again, very sad and very powerful. The episode as a whole was not a weak episode, but compared to the others, I didn't really feel like it ranked as high as it could have been. Coming in at number 5 is episode number 3, A Place of Safety. We see the group scattered after what happened in the previous episode with Matt awakening, whatever the hell that was, taking over the town, taking over the dagger, and just creating this big chaos that spread everybody apart. We see the beginning of Perrin's abilities to call upon the wolves. We also see the return of Nynaeve. We see the introduction to the Gleeman. We see the introduction to the Aiel. We see a lot of things. We also see the first time, perhaps the second time, that Rand has channeled, but this time was really obvious. You see that he possessed some kind of crazy power that broke down a door that, 3 men his size couldn't do it alone. That was also a little bit of the first hint that he was also the dragon. And then at the end of the episode, we see the false dragon, Spanish Jesus, being captured and being brought to Moraine while they cross paths with Liandrin, which is the second time we see Liandrin, unfortunately. And as I get closer to these episodes, guys, it's going to be harder and harder to kind of place them, because from here on, these are all like 8 out of 10s, 9 out of 10s for me. So again, please don't be upset. Coming in at number 4 for me is episode number 2, Shadows Waiting. Here's is where we get our first official introduction to the Children of the Light. Child of Baldur is doing his little thing of cutting fingers and burning Aes Sedai, having himself a nice little Sunday afternoon barbecue. We see the aftermath of the first episode of the Army of the Dark One trying to follow our heroes, our main characters. We see a side of Moraine that can be a little bit dark at times, but she's got to do what she's got to do to get the dragon reborn, because if she doesn't, the whole world falls apart. And to her, if anything gets in the way of her mission, it's a goner. And we saw that with the guy that had the boat, and he needed to go back to save his son. She destroys a boat. He goes after the boat. He ends up dying. Some heavy stuff. And in this episode as well, we see Rand's dream, which was also to me a hint of his coming to, that he is actually the dragon reborn when he's throwing up all those bats. My favorite part of this episode has got to be towards the end, when they get to the Forbidden City. And of course, Matt has to touch everything. He's like a little child. You tell him not to do something, they'll do something. It's like my kids. I was watching Matt. I'm like, what are you doing? Go to timeout. Stop touching things. Plus, that dagger contains something which drew itself to Matt, and they drew each other. You know, it was like a magnet. And then at the end there, we see when they split up, it really set up individual story arcs and it set up the story to come. Basically, episode number 2 sets up the rest of the season in a way, because it takes all these characters into their past that they're supposed to go to. So this is why episode number 2 comes in pretty high for me at number 4. Coming in at number 3 is episode number 1, as the first episode of the series Leave, taking when we get introduced to everybody: Moraine, Lan, Rand, Perrin, I mean the whole gang. We see everybody, we see where they come from, we see their humble beginnings. These people have no idea what they're about to walk into. They have no idea that their lives are about to change completely. I mean, whatever it is that they knew will never, ever again be the same. And that is very true. If you haven't watched the show, I don't know what you're doing watching this video if you haven't seen it. But if you haven't seen it, then I don't know what else I can tell you. The episode starts off with Moraine. We get a little bit of a backstory. And then we get to see the Dothraki man running away from Liandrin. We see Liandrin using her powers. And you kind of get the sense that Liandrin is a character that you're not going to like. Just in case you were wondering, no, I have nothing personal against the actress. She's doing such a phenomenal job as Liandrin that I hate her guts. If a character or if an actor can draw these emotions out of you, whether it's hate or love or laughter or whatever, then they're doing their job, and she's doing a hell of a job and pissing people off. We see Egwene's coming to womanhood. We see Padan Fain for the first time, this little bastard trickster, he seems to be way up the ranks of the Dark One. I can't wait to see what his true powers are, his true abilities are. There's no way he's just a sneaky person. There's a lot more to Padan Fain that, I don't know about. You may know about if you read other books. Yeah, I'm super excited to see more character development for Padan Fain. But perhaps what was really almost like a pre-season finale worthy episode was the battle scene at the end of the episode, which I thought that's what was kind of missing from the finale itself. Actual fighting, swords, and people getting chopped off and all these things. We saw a little bit of it, but we didn't really see it like we saw it here. That is why I am placing episode number 1 at number 3. It was a great episode. It hooked me in instantly. It didn't take very long. I mean, I'm just kind of skimming through here. Within 3 minutes, this show already had my attention. I was already hooked. In 3 minutes, I was hooked. So it's a very interesting way of storytelling. And oh man, we see our innocent little heroes. Look at Rand. He's got no fucking idea what's about to happen. We also get a little glimpse of the bond between Lan and Moraine, which at first it seemed like almost like a sexual bond, but then we come to find out that they love each other beyond what two people would just love each other. They have a bond beyond that. It's almost like a father and daughter bond, even if it makes sense, even beyond that, which we see later on in these episodes why that is. So, very good episode and very strong introduction to the series. All right, here's a top 2. If you've gotten here so far, go ahead and leave in the comment section which one you think is going to be my top 2 episodes. There's only 2 left, but guess which one's first, which one is second. Leave that comment down below. And as you're typing it out, my second favorite episode of the entire series, last call for the comment, going once, going twice, is episode number 4, The Dragon Reborn. Why is that? Nynaeve. I don't have to explain anything else. Nynaeve. That's all you need to know about this episode. Nynaeve's Super Saiyan insert superhero moment. It's her superhero. She was born right there. Nynaeve was born in this episode. She was born in this episode. For sure. Before that, she just kind of seemed like a grumpy, village lady. And here she just transcended all of that. We get the background on Spanish Jesus. We get the background on why he's so convinced that he's a dragon reborn, because he is super powerful. I mean, he's even more powerful than all the Aes Sedai there. They had to all combine their power to restrain him. So obviously, Logain is incredibly powerful. Such a powerful character. But you know, you see the dark, the madness took over him. His magic is tainted, just like the rest of the other men that can't channel. And he was a man on the mission. His mission was just destined to fail. We also learn a little bit more about the rest of the other Aes Sedai and how how things work between them and their warders. Talking to you, Alana. We see the death of an Aes Sedai. We see the first kind of really major hint of Lan and Nynaeve. And again, we see action. We see battle for a show that has such high stakes as the Wheel of Time. I don't see how you can go through, especially on a season finale, and not have an epic battle like episode number 4, episode number 1. It doesn't mean it's gonna be the best episode, but it just added so much more, because seeing the desperation, you know, a less hurrah Hail Mary come out of nowhere, it just provides that shocking factor, you know, that wow factor that we're all looking for. We're watching shows like this. We don't want to be bored. We want to be entertained. And this episode, oh my, it definitely entertained me. This is a 9 out of 10 in my books. I'm talking about like 9 out of 10 out of everything that I've ever watched. So very good. I really like this episode. If there are more episodes like episode number 4 in season 2, then the Wheel of Time is going to blow a lot of minds away. Coming in at number 1, last but not least, is episode number 7, called The Dark Along the Ways. Now, why is this my favorite episode? Well, we start off with this super badass scene of the cold open, which I'm guessing this is what it's called, because I see you guys put that on the comment section down below. We see Rand's mom, Mama Dragon.
Look at our little mutant baby.
Like a badass that she is, killing all these armored soldiers while 9 months pregnant in labor. What? This chick is badass. The actress that played this chick is a badass. This episode is badass, which is why it's my favorite episode. We find out once and for all that Rand's dad is not really his dad. He's adopted. He's an Aiel for sure. He's of a race of badass people. Not only is he from a race of badass people, he is also the Dragon Reborn. We also learn that here. This is a lot of key information in this episode. We see Nynaeve once again able to channel. We see Perrin being able to use his wolf vision to see things in the dark. We see Egwene also showing some promise here. We start to get the hint that Patton Fang is not just a simple merchant. And we definitely get to see that in later episodes. We learn of some drama brewing between Perrin and Rand, and Egwene caught in the middle. We meet Min, which she's able to see people's futures. She sees Perrin as the wolf. She sees Egwene and Nynaeve and how powerful they are. And she sees Rand with the baby. But she also, what she didn't mention is that she knew that Rand was the Dragon Reborn. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, but she knew that it was him. We get to meet Lan's family for the first time, and we get an introduction to this character that's been pretty mysterious. Besides that, all we know is that he's, you know, Moraine's warder, and he's fucking badass, and he's done important things up until that point. We learn of his friendship, but we never, of his friends, right, in the White Tower, but we never learned of his past. And here we get past. I get one of my favorite line of the whole entire show, which is when Nynaeve tells him, "You are king without a kingdom." And that is true to the core of Lan. He is noble. He is a fierce warrior. He is badass. He's a king. And he deserves a kingdom, and he would be a great ruler but his hometown is gone. And then obviously we see right after that a moment that made me jump out of my chair, throw my headphones off when Nynaeve and Lan finally get together, which is something that was building up, and it finally happened. And when it did happen, you know, I'm sort of a hopeless romantic, so when something like this happens, I just get happy. I don't know what to tell you. And then another one of my favorite moments was Rand's realization that he was the Dragon Reborn. He knew that in the cave, and he just kept quiet. Imagine knowing you don't want to be the Dragon Reborn. You don't want to be that. It seems like it'd be cool, right? Oh, I'm the motherfucking Dragon Reborn. No, you don't want to be the Dragon Reborn. It is a terrible thing to be, because one, the fate of the world lies in your hands. And two, in order to save the world, you're sacrificing yourself in the process. He's going to go insane. He's going to be a danger to everyone else around him and to himself. He knows that the moment that he finds out he's the Dragon Reborn, he no longer has a future. He no longer has a future with Egwene. The future that he saw in his dreams, that is gone. It is long gone. I feel very bad for him, to be quite honest with you. And this was, I think, the first episode that we had that we didn't have Matt at all in this episode. And that was due to problems with, you know, scheduling, shooting, Barney leaving, and all of that. But yeah, this is my top 8 of season 1. Let me know in the comments down below once again, what is your top 8? What is your favorite episode? What's your least favorite episode, and why? If you're not subscribed by now, please leave a sub. If you found any value out of this video, please also click that like button. It really helps spread out the word, spread out our message here, which is just watching TV series, having a good time doing it, and just building a supportive community along the way. Down below, there'll be a video and a playlist that I want you guys to check out. My video is going to be my latest video, and the playlist is going to be my Wheel of Time playlist, just in case you're new here. There are all the episodes there, and every single Wheel of Time content I will make from here on. So thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you on the next one. See you later.